Well, people, it is a brand new week as we move through or start to move through the off-season. But you're locked and loaded on here, the hottest show on the streets, number one forum for Bama football news, notes, and information. That being in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Excited to have each and every last one of you starting your work week with the best in Crimson Tide football coverage. We're bringing you the show from Birmingham, streaming this to you via YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, like the show up, run those likes up, drop a thumbs up on the show, hit that subscribe button, and turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, alerts, and updates on your favorite football program. We're also brought to you by WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That is WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and copy you that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, showing that support to Coach Saban, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the student athletes, in that tradition, that passion, that desire of dominating and or owning the fourth quarter. So check them out right now. WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get you that four-finger bling necklace today. Not only are we streaming this to you via YouTube, but we got you covered right here on our Facebook and on Twitter also. So we got your handle here, the Facebook, the Twitter, and the YouTube. So all forms of social media, we're streaming you the show. So no excuse for you not to be locked and loaded onto the number one forum for all things Crimson Tide. Gotta give a shout out right now to the man Jimmy Clay, who's dropped in $20 into the TDA hat in terms of donations and super chats. Appreciate that love there, comment from one Jimmy Clay. But we got a lot to get to, a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. So much going on in the world of college football. The University of Tennessee, an absolute dumpster fire. Gotta get into that. But so much college football to dissect, to dive into, and we want you being a part of the show. And how you be a part of the show, you call in 205-448-1358, the number 2. Dial and call in to let your voice, your thoughts, your opinions be heard and made known on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. It's always a joy to have my brother from another mother, the man John Ivory, the man, the myth, the legend, in the production studio doing his thing on today. And we got an awesome, very special guest coming on later on in the show. We will have the father of Alabama college football playoff national championship quarterback, Mac Jones. We'll have Gordon Jones on the show to discuss Mac and the journey and everything that he has seen his son go through to become not only a national championship quarterback for the Crimson Tide, but also now pursuing the NFL draft. So it's going to be awesome to talk to Gordon Jones a little bit later on in the show. But we start things off here. A couple of updates to get to. First and foremost, another Alabama assistant taking a different coaching job, and that goes to Charles Huff. The running backs coach for the Crimson Tide has accepted the head coaching position for the Marshall Thundering Herd, Marshall University. So kudos to Coach Huff. He did great things for the Crimson Tide, helping Najee Harris become a two-time 1,000-yard running back, a unanimous first-team All-America selection, and also the Doak Walker Award winner. So kudos to everything that Charles Huff did at the program, and he's now moving on to be a head coach at Marshall University. Also, along with that, how about Keegan Robinson, a young man of whom opted out prior to the start of the 2020 season due to coronavirus concerns. The young man, the sophomore out of Washington, D.C., the former four-star who came in the 2019 class, he hinted via social media that he is back with the program. He is back at Alabama. I was able to confirm this with the credible sources within the program that I know. Keegan Robinson got back to the program on last week. He has actually been working with a close friend of his in the D.C. area, and they've gotten him to be, well, the workouts have gotten him to be faster, bigger, stronger, so he is ready to be a marquee contributor for the 2021 for next season here. You look at Crimson Tide football, and already with a big, huge running back room here, going to be awesome to see what Keelan Robinson can do, what he can bring, because in 2019 as a freshman, he was pretty darn good. 39 carries, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Coach Saban spoke on him having the juice at that position of running back. So pretty awesome here to look at Wanda Keelan Robinson hinting a return to the Crimson Tide for the 2021 campaign. But this leads us into topic number 1 of the conversation, and that being, does Nick Saban make the move to bring Jeremy Pruitt back to the program? We have all gotten the news today. We have been seeing the rumblings, the rumors, the conversation, the dialogue for quite some time now that the Tennessee Volunteers, the University of Tennessee, would be cutting ties, parting ways, firing one Jeremy Pruitt. It happened on the day. Pruitt has been fired after 3 years with the program. From 2018 to this past season, Pruitt a 16-19 record with the Vols. He was 8-5 in the 2019 campaign, 5-3 in SEC play. And he was starting to really kind of get Tennessee back, or working his way to get them back into being a very competitive football program. But the reason for his termination from the school was some recruiting violations. There happened to be some recruiting violations going on with the program, and this happens a lot of times, especially when you get a program that is average, well, mediocre to average, and the program starts to hit on a lot of these 4- and 5-star guys that quite naturally or quite normally the program would not get. So then the NCAA goes, this program is starting to rise a little bit, and they're normally not this good. Let's see what's going on. Let's park our Winnebago here and see what's going on with this program and see if it's really on the up and up as it claims to be. And for Tennessee, it had gone from kind of not getting a lot of these 4- and 5-star athletes to the last few years here under Jeremy Pruitt. As we look at these recruiting rankings, 2018, Tennessee was ranked number 21 in the nation. Then 2019, it jumped from 21 to 13. And then 2020, it jumped from 13 to 10. And then this past, in the early recruiting cycle, for 2021, it's at number 15 nationally. So it started to get more of the big-time recruits, and a lot of these players it's not used to getting. So the NCAA, starts to go in and do some digging there, doing some work there at the Tennessee program, trying to see, are these guys really on the up and up? And what happened, recruiting violations have hit Pruitt, and the program has decided to terminate not only him, but 9 other assistants for the Volunteers. Philip Fulmer, the athletic director, is also stepping down as well. Now, will Fulmer retire? That remains to be seen, but Pruitt has been terminated from the program. So what this mean here, what the meaning of this is, does Nick Saban, in the event that now the move has been made, Pruitt's gone from the Volunteers, does Nick Saban make the decision, does he make the call to bring Jeremy back to, or bring Coach Pruitt back to the University of Alabama? And the reason why I ask the question is, if Pruitt is presented with a show cause by the SEC, then the only way he could come back is as a defensive analyst, maybe as an on-field coach, maybe an inside linebackers coach, who knows. But if he's hit with a show cause by the SEC, then the main thing, or one of the only things he could do, is come back as a defensive analyst, especially with the Jacksonville Jaguars targeting Charlie Strong to potentially go down there to the NFL and link up with one Urban Meyer. So if Pruitt is hit with the show cause, what that would do is he would not be allowed to recruit. He would not be allowed to be a defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. The only thing that he could do is either be an analyst or be an on-field coach. Now, also, Pruitt's buyout from the Volunteers was set at north of $12 million. So between $12 and $15 million, set north of $12 million Pruitt's buyout. Now, if he is hit with the show cause, Tennessee can mitigate some of that money and they don't have to pay him all of that money, but it becomes the fact of what does the SEC, what does the conference hit Pruitt with? Now, if he is able to dodge and avoid the show cause, then this cup of tea becomes very interesting, because if he doesn't get hit with the calls, now he could be an analyst, he could be a on-field coach, and he can even possibly be a defensive coordinator. And as much good as Pete Golding has done at Alabama, and he's done good, and he has value, and as much as I have defended Coach Golding, and I have, when you look at the opportunity to possibly get a Jeremy Pruitt, that name alone, it's a bigger upgrade. It's a facelift. It's something better than what you would already have in Coach Golding. Coach Golding is good, but Coach Golding is not elite at this point right now. And for you as Alabama fans, as much as you guys have enjoyed the offense in the last few years, and you have, I mean, nobody within their wildest dreams thought that Mac Jones during the preseason would have the season that he ended up having. Very few people, and I count myself among the very few people saw Jones being a 4,000-yard passer, saw Jones being a consensus All-American, saw him being a Heisman finalist, saw him throwing for 41 touchdown passes and taking this team and winning a national championship. Very few people saw that. Very few people saw, Devonta Smith really having this type of a year that he had, winning the Heisman Trophy and things of that nature. And then very few people saw, Najee Harris going from dancing in the backfield to being an All-American, unanimous All-American, being the Doak Walker Award winner and having the success that he had. So while the offense has been fantastic, in the back of Nick Saban's mind, he's got to be thinking, can we get some conceivable way to have both? Can we have both the outstanding offense that frustrates opposing defenses and picks them apart, but can we also have the dominant, elite, revered, respected, fearsome defense? Is there some way possible that we can have both? And it's not just Coach Saban thinking that, it's U.S. fans thinking that also. Can we have the major offense? Can we have the explosive offense? But can we also have the defense that puts the fear of God in each opponent that this Crimson Tide program faces? So when you look at Coach Pruitt here for a minute, just off his accomplishments at Alabama as a defensive coordinator 2016 through 2017, this is what Pruitt did in those 2 years, and it's quite awesome he was able to do this. Coach Pruitt, during those 2 years, the defense gave up an average of 12.5 points per game. It forced 114 sacks. We're looking at 43 forced turnovers, 13 of those returned for touchdowns. We're looking at 219 tackles for loss, 131 quarterback hurries, 25 forced fumbles. We're looking at 3 unanimous All-Americans, Jonathan Allen, Reuben Foster, and Minka Fitzpatrick. All 3 guys were taken in the first round of their respective draft classes. And then also Pruitt named his last son, his baby boy, after 2 Alabama linebackers. His baby boy Flint was named after Ryan Anderson and Reuben Foster. So you can see the love and the appreciation that Alabama had for Pruitt and that Pruitt had for Alabama. But the question is, depending on what the SEC hits Pruitt with, does Coach Saban return him to Tuscaloosa in some form of defensive capacity. We'll take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, just getting started. Upon our return, we take your phone calls, your ideas, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your questions. What do you think of the situation involving Jeremy Pruitt? We'll talk to you, the Bama Nation, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. In support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We are back to the action here, folks, on a Monday, starting your work week off correctly. Hottest show on the streets, number one form for all things Bama football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we get to those phone lines to take your calls, call statement brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. The number 2, call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Got an awesome topic to get to right now, and it goes to Devonta Smith. Will the Miami Dolphins do the right thing? Will the Miami Dolphins do the right thing with the number 3 overall pick in the upcoming draft and take Devonta Smith, wide receiver from the University of Alabama, the Crimson Tide? Now, Smitty is a Heisman Trophy winner. He's the Fred Biletnikoff Award winner, unanimous first-team All-American. He took home so many individual awards after the 2020 campaign. He didn't have to, or he doesn't have to go to the Senior Bowl. He doesn't have to go here. We know he's going to be a top 3 to top 5 pick, but he has decided to go down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl. Now, he will not participate in any of the events just due to the thumb injury he sustained in the college football playoff title game against Ohio State. But he will be in Mobile. He will be taking a lot of team interviews. He'll meet with representatives of all 32 NFL teams. He'll spend some time with the Miami Dolphins staff, as Coach Brian Flores and his staff will be coaching the South team at the Senior Bowl. So with him down there, with Smitty in Mobile, with Smitty getting the opportunity to hang around the Dolphins organization, if I'm Miami, I don't overthink this. I don't shoot myself in the foot. I make this move. I draft Smitty, number 3 overall, to Miami, because you've already said as an organization that you are committed to Tua Tagovailoa. You have committed to Tua. Tua's your guy. Well, the number one way you can show Tua that commitment is getting him somebody that he is very familiar with. And after watching all of the dropped passes a season ago, whether it was Jakeem Grant or Devontae Parker or whomever the receiver may be, probably the only reliable guy the Dolphins had last season was Mike Gesicki at tight end. So to me, if I'm Miami, this is a no-brainer. You draft Smitty. But we take our first call of the evening. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, Steven, how are you doing?
Doing well, and yourself?
Doing all right there. I was calling about, heard you earlier talking about whether Jeremy Pruitt or not should come back. I say we don't touch him with a 10-foot pole, Steven. I don't know about you there, buddy.
I mean, he's got some investigations on him. He's got some investigations on him. The SEC has to make the final move. Do you show cause him? Do you not show cause him? So there's a lot of murkiness behind Pruitt right now.
Yeah, I just don't like those vows. You know, like my guy says, you know, they're low down, they're dirty, some snitches. I don't want him or Fulmer or anybody else coming around here, especially after we just won a national championship. You understand what I'm saying?
I feel you. I mean, I understand a lot of Bama fans would entertain the idea of possibly having Pruitt back, but with the stuff that's going on up there at Rocky Top, I agree with you. It's kind of, you want to be very hesitant before, or you want to be reluctant to go up there and make that move.
That's right. Well, I'm just excited. I hadn't had a chance to call in a long, long time, but roll tide, number 18. Thank you very much for your show. Love what you're doing there, Steve.
Appreciate the call right there. Appreciate that call. I mean, it would be reluctant to go get Pruitt, and I know Bama fans want to have that dominant elite defense again. It's almost like my favorite football movie, Radio. Cuba Gooding Jr. did a great job in that movie where the football coach asked Radio, do you want the pie or do you want the cake? And Radio iconically smacks his mouth and goes, I want both. I want both, coach. I want both. A lot of Alabama fans, you want the high-powered offense, you do, but you also want that defense that strikes living fear in the heart of the opposition. And while Pete Golding's been good, he's been good, he has not been kind of the, I guess, marquee elite guy that you've been known having in terms of calling defenses, getting the call out on the field, making the adjustments, putting guys in situations where they can be successful. But the Pruitt's in a huge mess right now at Tennessee. But we take our second call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on? Live on the show, caller. What's going on? Well, we lost that call right there, but continuing the conversation that is Devonta Smith, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I don't second guess this draft Smitty, number 3 overall. We have seen the relationship between Tua and Smitty throughout their time at Alabama. Tua threw 2 touchdown passes to Smitty, both of their freshman years in 2017, including the 41-yard game winner on 2nd and 26 to beat Georgia in the national championship game. And then after that, when Tua became a starting quarterback, 2018 and 2019, we're talking about, 17 touchdown passes between 17 scoring hookups from Tua to Smitty. So if I'm Miami, I don't waste this. I don't second guess this. I make Devonta Smith the number 1 receiving option down there on South Beach. Draft him right now. I mean, and on top of that, this is a young man that's about to get immortalized again in a Daniel Moore painting. The Daniel Moore painting will be entitled Heisman Heights. The picture being used was his catch against LSU over Derek Stingley. That catch, sick, ridiculous, awesome play right there. So if I'm Miami, I don't put too much thought into this. Take Smitty, number 3 overall. Show Tua you're truly committed to him. That's what I would do. We're taking our next break here right now on the show. But upon our return, we sit down with the father of the national championship quarterback, Mac Jones. We'll have Gordon Jones on the show. You don't want to miss this interview talking with Gordon Jones after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
As we're back in from the break, folks, check out this gift right here. A shout out to Mac Jones and his entire family for gifting myself here this football for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, this autographed ball here from Mac Jones. Look at the detailing on this, John. This is some awesome detailing. Got the scripted A right there. Really appreciate Mac Jones and his entire family for gifting us this football here to the studio, and it just sort of, really commemorates the passion, the love, the excitement for the game that he plays with, and just, the friendship that I've been able to build up with him and his family. So thanks to Mac and the entire Jones family for gifting us with that football. And speaking of the Jones family, we have a very special guest joining the In My Own Words hotline right now. So we make our way over to the In My Own Words hotline where we pick up Mr. Gordon Jones, the father of the national championship quarterback Mac Jones for the Crimson Tide. Mr. Gordon, how are you? So happy to have you live on the show.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So the first thought from me here is when you look at just this season as a whole, well, not just this season, going back to 2019 for a minute here, and Mac has to fill in for an injured Tua Tagovailoa, and he has a lot of success in replacing Tua. But then just take me through the offseason, the spring and the summer. What did Mac do body-wise? What did Mac do preparation-wise to put himself in a position to not just win the starting job, but have the mindset to take this team and win a national championship with it? What was Mac's training regimen during the spring and summer before the season started?
Well, Stephen, I would have to say it started from the first day that he got there at the University of Alabama. I mean, I think he's followed the same kind of routine as day one. But the summer obviously was a little different because of the COVID issues involved, and so there was a lot of uncertainty of whether they're going to have spring practice or not, or whether they're going to be able to come to the campus, or whether we're going to use the facilities there to train. And ultimately, everybody was sent home, and so Mac put together his own little gym at our house, and he worked out in a very regular schedule like he always does. Put together his playbook, studied his plays, worked out, ate, and slept, and that's pretty much all he did. He had a friend from high school that was training to be a Navy SEAL, and he came by and was his workout partner, so they kind of maintained their own social distance, and then had kind of their own bubble. They kind of pledged to each other that they weren't going to socialize or do anything like that might expose them to COVID, and they were workout buddies. And it was kind of funny because they put the gym ultimately. We thought it was going to go in the garage, but it ultimately went on our back porch, and so we used to call it the yard. And so you could look out our window and we could see Jack and Mac working out in the yard, and they were doing everything that they would normally do at the University of Alabama and preparing for the season. So, I think he was very disciplined about keeping his same routine to the extent as possible, even in these kind of COVID times and having to do it at home.
So just when did you see, or at what moment did you feel like he is going to be able to take this team and do something special with this team? Because in the preseason, a lot of the conversation was on, other guys not really putting the light bulb or putting the credibility towards Mac. But at what point, whether it was during the summer training or during the season, where you felt like my son is literally about to take this team on a journey that we're going to be very excited about?
I think two things kind of come to mind. One was the Auburn game at the end of the last season, because, obviously there was a lot of talk about the pick sixes and what happened there. But what I saw in that game was somebody that had something bad happen within the game and then come back and put their team in a position to win. And so each time one of those bad things happened, he put the team back up on top with a score right afterwards. And to me, that was a kind of signal of Mac's maturity as a player and as a person, that he could take obstacles that came in his way and turn them into opportunities. And so I thought from that point on, I felt like pretty good about his chances to kind of move forward in the next season. Obviously Alabama is a competitive school. There's going to be great quarterbacks coming in every year. There was great, you had Paul Tyson that was already there at the school. You had the 5-star that came in, and he knew he was going to have to compete, but it's no different than when he went there for the first year and he had Jalen and Tua there. So, I think he was used to the fact that he was going to have to compete. That's what you expect from a program like University of Alabama. They have another great quarterback coming in as a recruit this year, and I think you're used to that. It's just a matter of whether you can battle your way through it and put yourself in a position where you can help the team. And I think he felt like he could do it. I felt like he could do it, and it was just a matter of getting it done. And, I was very proud of him for the fact that he, came out the starter.
If you're just tuning into the show, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined here by the father of Alabama football national championship quarterback Mac Jones. We got Gordon Jones here on the line on the In My Own Words hotline on a Monday. So Mr. Gordon, so here's my next thought right here, and it goes toward when you look at this season. When you step back and look at this season, what was kind of maybe the biggest advice that you gave to Mac? Because just like the players, they have their own pressure, they have their own things that they have to look at and abide by and adhere to. As a parent, you try to not be the football parent, but at the same time, you try to give your children that advice that, hey, even though things may not go according to plan early on, stick with it. Don't do anything hasty. Don't jump off the ship. Stick with it as best as you know how to. What's been kind of the biggest advice, biggest tips that you have given to Mac while he's been on this journey?
Well, I think to start off the season, when we found out that it was going to be an all SEC schedule, obviously for Mac, he's thinking like, this is going to be the toughest schedule that Alabama's ever played in a regular season. And I think when we talked about it, what we really realized was for every very large obstacle, there can also be a very large opportunity. And so our thought was, and, when Mac told me about it, we discussed it, we said, if you can win out, you'll have an opportunity to be the greatest team that Alabama ever had. And, obviously there's a lot of great teams, and it's no disrespect to the other teams that were great that played for the University of Alabama. But in terms of schedule and overcoming hardships, the kind of the COVID thing that he had to deal with, I think that he did what exactly we thought he could do. And, and to his credit, they put themselves in position of being one of the greatest, maybe of Alabama, maybe of all time. So I was very proud about that. And I think from a more specific level, we had a funny little saying about keeping your eye on the meatball, and that really came about because, when I was younger and I would talk to people that were fighter pilots or whatever, they would tell me the toughest job in the world is probably landing a fighter plane on an aircraft carrier at night in a storm. You got a deck that's pitching, your plane's rocking, you got all sorts of variables. You got a very small distance to put the plane down. And what those guys would tell me is that there's a series of lights on the deck that they call the meatball. And really all you're doing when you're flying into the carrier at night is trying to keep the meatball lined up in those lights. And so we kind of just said the same thing. Like every time, every game, said, Matt, keep your eye on the meatball. And the meatball meaning just focus on what you can control, what you can do, and the rest of it, despite all the chaos that's going around or the people that doubt you or the difficulty or, Coach Saban getting COVID, just keep your eye on the meatball because that's all you can control. And if you do that, you're going to bring the plane in safely and you're going to have a great landing. And I think I was very proud of him because I think all season long, he really kept his eye on the meatball. He kept it down to just, I'm going to focus in on the things I control. It's the next play, the next possession. And, I think as a result of that, he ultimately got to accomplish a lot of goals that he had as for a long time. And, obviously there's a tremendous benefit to his teammates and the university and the team. So I was very proud of him, but it was keeping his eye on the meatball the whole way.
He's earned 2 degrees here, Mr. Gordon. He's earned 2 degrees. He built up his body for this moment. He earned a host of individual awards, but just the night of the national championship, when that clock hit 000, and Alabama winning 52-24, and it's Mac being the winning quarterback. What were kind of the first emotions that you and your wife, Miss Holly, experienced when the confetti's falling and it's your son that's led this team wire to wire, undefeated, perfect national championship? What were the emotions of the Jones family?
I think, like, for me, I don't get nervous at games at all. I mean, because it's just kind of competition, and I'm used to competition. And, I think having a steady disposition is perfect for a quarterback, and maybe even for a quarterback's dad. So there wasn't a lot of emotions. I mean, I was very proud of him. But I tell you, today actually was the first day I kind of put down a list of everything that he had accomplished, and I got a little teary-eyed about it. I mean, it truly was like, wow, look what he really, look what the team did, look what he did. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So, obviously, I wanted them to finish out the season undefeated and to win the national championship, because that was kind of like the culmination of what we had talked about before the season started. I think that it gave Coach Saban the 1+ win over Coach Bryan that, I think will be memorable in all time. And it was just such a great Alabama team. I mean, the chemistry in the team this year was unbelievably great. I mean, they just were all in all the time for each other. There wasn't somebody that was taking the spotlight all day long, and not letting it shine on other people. I mean, you had incredible contributions from everybody, from Devonta to Najee to Billingsworth to Brian Robinson to Mechie. I mean, at the Miller. I mean, you look at every single game, somebody was stepping up for him. Whether it was Najee scoring a bunch of touchdowns, or Devonta coming through, or Mac having a good game, or the defense stepping up and playing. It was just like they were just in sync as a team, and that was the incredible part. So to me, it was kind of like, the national champion. I was excited because it was over, and it was, we finally didn't have to worry about anything. But it really did take a couple days for it to kind of like where I went like, whoa, they have really done well. So I'm kind of at that stage now, I guess. So maybe I'm thawing out of my ice cold personality that I held throughout the season, and stepping back and trying to enjoy it a little bit.
Now, we here at Touchdown Alabama, Mr. Gordon, we actually put together a cool little montage of videos for Mac Jones on YouTube. So have you gotten the chance, or have you or anybody in the family gotten the chance to check out the videos of Mac that we here at TDA have put on YouTube, have created for the video platform?
No, but I am, because you guys do a great job with everything, and so I'm looking forward to, as soon as we get off the show, I'm going to pull that thing up and take a look at it. And I know you, like I said, you always do a great job. You have a great perspective on Mac. You have from very early on. You were a supporter, a believer in Mac, and I certainly appreciate that. And he needed that type of outside, external reinforcement for what he was doing, and I think that you always were supportive of him, and so I'm looking forward to what you put together, because I know it'll be something great.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of videos on YouTube. We got a full mixtape out here for Mac, a full Mac Jones mixtape. It's pretty awesome. Our own John Ivory, video producer extraordinaire, putting those together. So appreciate John for that. But just kind of my final thought here to you, Mr. Gordon, is just the preparation of Mac. What went into his preparation, for this season? Because if you look at a lot of these NFL scouts, they talk about, he's so prepared, he does his homework, he's so thorough in his process and trying to be, a first-round pick. What went into Mac's preparation, full picture here?
Mac would, and we didn't even get to see Mac very much in person the whole season, just because that was our choice as a family to try to help protect him. I mean, that was one of the things that people didn't recognize, that each week, not only have to prepare to play somebody, but he had to make sure that he didn't get COVID or test positive for COVID. I mean, even if he was asymptomatic, if he tests positive, he's out. So from that standpoint, it's a little additional pressure. But basically, Mac's routine would be wake up early in the morning, and he would head over to Malmore by 6 a.m., and he wasn't coming home until probably at 10 o'clock at night. I mean, I think he put a tremendous amount of time into film study. He has a girlfriend, Sophie, that would, they would go over to the gym late at night, and she'd call out plays for him, and he'd have to diagram or show him or do the movements or all that, those type of things, to kind of just make these things be just automatic in his mind. So to me, sometimes you hear people say, like, well, he was throwing to a wide-open Devonta. Well, part of the reason he's throwing to a wide-open Devonta is because he understood the defenses. He understood the plays that were being called by Coach Sark, and he set up the protections right. So if you do all those things right, the chances are you're going to have somebody wide open. But if you don't do it right, then it's going to look just like any other college football team, and he's going to look like any other quarterback. So, I think that was kind of the thing that impressed me the most. That, the Coach Sark and him were totally in sync in terms of the offense. They spent a lot of time figuring out what it was that the defense was going to likely to put up and what plays were going to work best about it to play it. And then, obviously they look over the sideline. They call off protections. And I think, generally, I think they missed one protection the whole night of the national championship. And obviously that was the time that Matt got sacked. But, that was just a testament to kind of just the hard work that was put in, kind of understanding the plays, understanding the defenses, and being able to recognize pre-snap movements that cause people to recognize where weaknesses might be in the defense on a particular play, and then understanding the plays enough to know which receiver was going where so that they would have the best chance of being open. So I think he just kind of kept with his routine and he's a grinder. I think he obviously has talent, but I think he likes to work hard and he likes to be prepared. So that's what he did every single day, and there was no difference any other day of the season. So I think that's what he's going to carry forward into the NFL. Is he's going to be a guy that sets the standard for how you need to work in terms of to be a professional and succeed at the next level.
He's Gordon Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Gordon Jones, the father of Alabama football national championship quarterback Mac Jones, joining us here on the show via the In My Own Words hotline. Mr. Gordon, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with us here on a Monday. You stay safe, be good, take care of yourself, man. Tell Mac I said hey.
I will do it, Stephen. Thank you to you and for all the coverage you provide for the University of Alabama football team, and obviously to John for help us getting all set up here. I appreciate it, and it was a lot of fun, and we look forward to another successful University of Alabama team next year, and let's bring home another national championship, set the standard.
Absolutely. That was Mr. Gordon Jones joining us live here on the In My Own Words hotline, talking Mac Jones and the season he's had and the preparation that went into him being a national championship quarterback. Got to appreciate Mr. Gordon here for spending some time here with us on In My Own Words. We take our next break right now. When we get back, we jump back into the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your ideas, your viewpoints, your opinions. We get back to a dialogue with you, the Tide fans, after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we are back into the action here, folks, from the break of the number one show for Crimson Tide football news, In My Own Words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. I gotta always continue to thank my man, Mr. Gordon Jones, the father of Alabama football national championship quarterback Mac Jones, for joining us in the previous segment. Interview was awesome with him. Got to also shout out Tobias Brookins. Tobias Brookins donating that $20 into the TDA hat there via the Super Chats. Appreciate that love coming in from one Tobias Brookins. Also, before we go to the phone lines to take your phone calls courtesy of the Blue Wrench Gang, we got to check out our latest sponsor, MyBookie.ag. MyBookie.ag, latest sponsor here to TDA. So, if you're feeling fortunate, you're feeling lucky, you're feeling like you can make some money here on some Alabama football, you check out MyBookie.ag. You make the right play today and sign up at MyBookie.ag. And when you do sign up, when you do choose to sign up, you use the promo code TDAlabama to get your deposit matched halfway all the way up to $1,000. Can't beat that with a stick. You make the right play when you go to mybookie.ag, sign up, use the promo code TDAlabama, get that deposit matched halfway all the way up to $1,000. Can't beat that with a stick. That's mybookie.ag. Check out our guys, mybookie.ag today. But we go now to take your phone calls, 205-448-1358, the number 2. Call in and let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We take a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going? This is Tobias calling from Fresno. What's going on, Steven?
Doing good, Tobias. How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm feeling great, man. Anytime I can catch one of the shows, sometimes I miss them, when they're going live, but I always go back and check it out, man. And this MLK Day just has been a great breath of fresh air, just thinking about everything we can do as a nation, just really, positive, feeling good. And you as a black man, dude, you're just doing a great job. It just shows that, man, it doesn't matter what you come from, where you've been, what your color is, you can do great things. You just keep, man, just seeing you, I just want you to know, man, you're an example, man. You represent, man, America in a great way, dude, because you just keep grinding. And I'm seeing doors opening up for you. And I had to throw in a super chat while I was watching the show because I'm like, I remember, man, just a few years back, and you was I had your podcast, and I would always check out your podcast, and I even remember some people trying to hate on you, and I'm like, this dude is a beast, man. He knows everything you do is excellent, and now you're on Paul Feinbaum, and I can't wait to see you, man, hitting ESPN up more, and just everything you're doing. So I just wanted to commend you for that. First of all, calling you, man. That was my first reason for calling, to tell you that.
Appreciate that right there, man.
Yeah, man. It's just you're beast. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. And it just shows, man. Like I said, American values. If you work hard, man, I know that there's inequality, different places that people have to fight. But I do believe that if you work hard, man, those doors are open up for you. You got to take advantage of it. But this is what I was thinking about. I said I got a call also for this. I've been going through the Alabama roster over and over. Some of us as fanatics, we already trying to map out what it's going to look like. And, Steven, you the expert. You one of the experts. That offensive line, I know Cohen got some time in. I know Tommy Brown got some time in. But who do you see filling in the rest of this line? Now, Owens, I think Owens, I want to pump him up. I never talk down to any kids and stuff like that. I'm an NCAA baller myself, full scholarship player. So I know what it feels like to have the media kind of talking down on you and your development. But Owens is a developmental player. He did great. I mean, hot big ups to Owens. So now we got 3 pieces on the right side, at least to start out with. Who's filling in those other 2 spots, in your opinion?
I think right now at right tackle, Tobias, because I feel like Saban's going to take Evan Neal and flip Evan Neal to left tackle. So at right tackle, I would keep my eyes on the freshman J.C. Latham coming in here from IMG Academy. If he comes in here and he really burns it up, J.C. Latham has a chance to start. This is a guy that Dr. Matt Ray and Coach David Ballou know very well from their days at IMG. The best friend of J.C. Latham is actually Evan Neal, who's at Alabama right now. So I would keep my eyes on Latham at right tackle if he comes in and he tears it up. If he has some struggles, I could see Javion Cohan taking that job at right tackle, or maybe a Tommy Brown if he's gotten better with his footwork and his coordination. But the guy I'm looking for at right tackle, keep your eyes on J.C. Latham. At that left guard position, watch Pierce Quick. Watch Pierce Quick. That guy's a junkyard dog. He's mean. He's nasty. He's physical. He could have gotten on the field a lot more of his past year. I don't know why he did not. But I look at this upcoming season for 2021. Keep your eyes on Pierce Quick at left guard and J.C. Latham potentially at right tackle.
Stephen, that man, you pumping me up now. Because, see, Pierce Quick, I've been big on him because, you know, he basically won that class. I mean, he was on the phones. I was checking out. I'm looking at his Twitter feed when he was getting recruited. He was getting everybody on board. And you just like to see good people have good things happen for him. I thought his size, that he didn't develop in the size, but, you know, it doesn't take that heat, man. That's good to hear. My next question is this, man, Stephen. Now, who is going to break out in the receiver ranks? Because I know Mechie is bomb. Once he gets healed up, Slade Bolton, bomb. Then we saw Baker come in a little bit. We also saw finally Xavier. I've been waiting for Xavier to hit the field. Now, based on your reporting, you were saying that this new class coming in is like, you know, just beast mode coming in. So I'm like, oh, man, are these guys that are behind not going to see the field? What do you think is going to happen in the 1 and 2s in the receiver?
Now, I think Xavier Williams, Xavier Williams is going to finally get more exposure. To me, he's a bigger version of Ardarius Stewart, and Ardarius Stewart was underrated when he was at Alabama, but a very productive receiver. I like Xavier Williams. I like Slade Bolden, but one of these young guys to keep your eye on, watch JoJo Earl, the freshman coming in from Aledo, Texas. He came out of nowhere in the recruiting cycle, and I feel like this guy right here has got the speed to possibly be maybe a Henry Ruggs 2.0, if you will. I like JoJo Earl. I really do. Keep your eyes on him. But we appreciate Tobias Brookins there for that phone call. Appreciate that love there coming from Tobias calling into the show. But definitely keep your eyes on one JoJo Earl. But kind of a cool topic right now to get into as we continue taking your phone calls, 205-448-1358. But I'm going to call in to be a part of the show. And it goes to Bama's two freshmen that made the Football Writers Association of America freshman All-America team. And that's Malachi Moore and William Anderson. Very proud of both of these young men right here because they came to a program at a time where you had the coronavirus pandemic. We're still in the pandemic right now, but they didn't have spring football. They didn't have a typical summer workout session. They didn't have a typical fall camp. They had to teach themselves the defense on Zoom, and both guys had stellar seasons. I'm talking about there were moments where Malachi looked like the best defensive back in the secondary. This young man right here, 44 tackles, 4 of those for loss, 6 pass breakups, 2 quarterback hurries, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown. And then Will Anderson, we're looking at 10.5 tackles for loss. We're talking 7 sacks, 8 quarterback hurries, a combined 52 total quarterback pressures he got in the face of opposing quarterbacks. And as the season got deeper from the Iron Bowl throughout the remainder of the year, he really, really turned it on and proved true all of the comparisons he was kind of getting to one Tim Williams, former Alabama pass rusher with the program here. So big kudos to Malachi Moore and Will Anderson. They came in here, they put their nose to the grindstone, they dominated, played outstanding football, highly deserving of being on the Football Writers Association of America freshman All-America team. Expecting great things for both of those two in years to come here. But we take our next break here on the show. Upon our return, we'll get into the reason why we need spring football this year. I'm going to dive into one of the critical reasons why Bama needs spring football this March and April. We'll talk about it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we are back in from the break, tidying up some loose ends here on what is the hottest show on the streets, #1 forum for all things Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we get into the final topic here, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. Now, we got 2 new shirts for you guys. 2 new shirts that represent Alabama getting that 18th national championship. And on the back of one of the shirts, it's got all of the national championships that Alabama has won and its illustrious history on the back of one of those shirts. So you check out TDAwear.com. We got you covered right here. All of the shirts, hoodies, styles, fashions. Make us your one-stop shop. Your Alabama football clothing, purchasing apparel needs. We got you right here, TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. Rep your program, rep your team, rep your 18 national championships on those shirts, that being the Crimson Tide. Check us out right there, TDAwear.com. But as we now get into the reason why we need spring football, Alabama, you guys as the fans, we need spring football this year, especially after getting through a season where we adjusted things, we altered things, we were able to maneuver things and have a season despite the global COVID-19 pandemics. We were able to multitask and get through the unprecedented season. And because we were able to do that, I feel like this time around, this spring, we should be in a much better situation. We should be in a much better outlook to have spring football in some sort of capacity. And the biggest reason why I feel like we need spring is there are some questions that need to be answered. Last year, we kind of dealt with trial by fire, and a lot of you were angry. Well, not angry. Angry is a strong word. A lot of you were frustrated. A lot of you were bothered because you really wanted to have spring football last year because so many of you wanted to see Bryce Young, wanted to see a lot of these other freshmen and older, experienced veteran players. But because of the situation that we were in our world, we could not have spring football. So now, even though the trial by fire for 2020 ended the right way, it ended with Alabama hoisting the national championship to end that campaign. This time around, you guys are starving for, can we get spring football? Want to see an A-Day game? Want to see some scrimmages? Want to see some bullets flying? Want to see, some action out there on the field? due to not having it last spring. And one of the biggest reasons why, the quarterback room for Alabama this year. With Mac Jones pursuing the NFL draft, you're looking at Bryce Young, Paul Tyson, and an incoming freshman by the name of Jalen Milroe from Texas. And first and foremost, where Bryce Young is concerned, we're already seeing the media excited about him. Really excited about Bryce. One outlet in particular, Fox Sports, and its media pundit R.J. Young already has Bryce as a Heisman sleeper for the 2021 season. You have a lot of these other outlets that have put up their way too early draft projections for Alabama for next season, and Young has been listed as the starting quarterback on those. There was even a moment when Jones came out of the game in the fourth quarter, late fourth quarter there, to that outstanding ovation at Hard Rock Stadium, he handed the ball to Bryce Young. So when Mac gave Bryce Young the ball, everybody immediately thought, okay, this is the passing of the torch. This is symbolic. This is Mac saying, Bryce, this is your team. Bryce, this is your program. Bryce, this is your offense. People saw it as this is Mac handing the torch to Bryce. And while I can see that being a symbolic feature here, Bryce Young this past season completed 13 of 22 passes for 154 yards, had a touchdown pass to Devonta Smith this past season. But there's going to be a lot of competition here in this room. I'm excited to see what Bryce can do. I'm happy to see what Bryce can do as a former five-star by the way of modern-day high school in California. But there's a lot of competition. And the first guy you got to think about is Paul Tyson. Paul Tyson, to me, is somebody to definitely keep your eye on. This was a very accurate quarterback in high school. Hewitt Trustfield High School in Alabama. We're talking about a guy that was 19-5 as a starter, more than 6,500 passing yards, 69 touchdowns, just 13 picks. A guy that's legitimately 6'5", 230 pounds. Big body here. Big body. Very strong, very accurate arm. When I've gotten the chance to speak to different people within the program, for starters like Paul Tyson, the contributing players like Paul Tyson, the walk-ons like Paul Tyson, the equipment managers like Paul Tyson, everybody on the team down to the darn water and towel boys love themselves some Paul Tyson. So Paul is really somebody to keep your eye on. I had a chance about a good 2 years ago to have a conversation with Bobby Humphrey, former Alabama running back Bobby Humphrey. And Humphrey was one of the first guys to really work with Tyson on his mechanics. And from talking to him, he sat down with me and he said, Steven, I have never seen a high school quarterback coming out of the state of Alabama as accurate as Paul Tyson is. This guy puts the ball on the money. The receivers don't have to turn. They don't have to overly adjust or overly contort for the ball. The ball is right there in the breadbasket, perfect every single time. So Paul Tyson is somebody, you don't sleep on this young man. And I've been saying this for quite some time now. Yes, he's Paul Bear Bryant's great-grandson, but bigger than the name. And to me, he's kind of Mac Jones 2.0 in a sense of, remember, Mac endured a lot of criticism in the preseason. He's not all that great, not all that good. He's not Tua. He's not like Tua. And we saw what Mac Jones did. And we saw how he snapped. And we saw how he came out the bag and had a season that one of the greatest ever in the history of Alabama football. So here comes Paul Tyson enduring the same type of criticism. The only reason why Bama got him is he Paul Bear Bryant, great-grandboy, ain't nothing special, ain't nothing big, ain't nothing exciting. I'm telling you people, watch Paul Tyson. Nothing to sneeze about where this young man is concerned. He's coming, he's gunning, and he's coming hot. But that's number two. The third name is Jalen Milroe, the freshman from Texas. And what intrigues me about him is, remember the last quarterback Alabama got from Texas named Jalen? Jalen Hurts from the Houston area, that 2016 class. Remember, he came in and he pushed everybody else in the transfer portal. He basically was like, Drake, the game needs changing and I'm the cashier. That was Jalen Milroe. The game needs changing and I'm the cashier. My time is now. Get out the way, make the beats, move. My turn. That's what Jalen Hurts did. Does Jalen Milroe have that type of moxie? Does Jalen Milroe have that type of mindset? Can he do the exact same thing that Hurts did from 2016 and shock the entire Alabama football program, and he becomes the starting quarterback? Because he's got a lot of talent. A lot of gifts, a lot of tools, a lot of potential. But can he come in here and do what Jalen Hurts did a few years back and take Alabama football by storm and become the starter? So one of the reasons why, people, we need spring football, this quarterback room for 2021 this year, the competition on the field this year, going to be very, very intriguing. Everybody talking Bryce Young. I'm excited to see what Bryce Young can do, but do not blink your eye at Paul Tyson and do not blink your eye at Jalen Milroe. This is going to be really fun right here. But as always, Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being Alabama football. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store. If you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store, if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. As always, Alabama fans, you purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, be on the lookout for the new print edition, the new print issue of Touchdown Alabama Magazine coming soon. And if you subscribe to touchdownalabama.com, subscribe to the site, touchdownalabama.com, you can get you a free copy of the print issue of the magazine that is coming soon. Also, you can copy that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of weownthefourthquarter.com. That link will be in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children continue doing the right things, those things legitimately, to not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, spit in my own words.